Hey guys, this is Steli After with Closeout. This is a 9-question Q&A about what marketing people can learn from sales guys and how we think about marketing at Closeout. So Luke from the GainBits blog sent me an email yesterday saying, we've known each other for a while, and yesterday he pinged me in an email and said, hey dude, I'm doing a lot of Q&As on my blog. I'd love to actually have a salesperson's perspective on marketing featured on the blog. Would you be open for a quick Q&A session? And I was like, yeah, I'm absolutely up for it. So he sent me 9 questions via email. And instead of just writing down my answers at length, I thought, why not do a quick video and share those answers in person? So let's go through the quick 9 questions, see what sales and marketing people can learn from each other. So number 1, he asks, bio, who the hell are you? Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? So for sure. So my name is Steli Afti. I'm originally, grew up back in Europe and have been an entrepreneur my whole life. I dropped out of high school when I was about 18. Out of a lack of options, I had to go into entrepreneurship, and it's been a savior of my life. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. I'm completely unemployable with 0 credentials. And my entrepreneurial superpower has always been sales, hustling, going out there and making shit happen through the power of hustle. And about 7.5 years ago, I sold everything I had. I bought a one-way ticket to San Francisco and Silicon Valley to build my first technology company. And through a lot of highs and a lot of lows, I ended up building a company 3 years ago that was called Elastic Sales. What we did is basically offering venture-backed technology companies in Silicon Valley a sales team on demand to both do sales exploration as well as sales execution and scaling. And in the process of doing sales for over 200 venture-backed startups and building kind of a secret lab of sales for technology in the heart of Silicon Valley, we developed this little tool called Close.io. It was called our own internal secret sauce software that empowered our salespeople to outperform our competitors. Eventually, that software got so popular that we released it to the world. You can find it on Close.io, and it's helping thousands of salespeople around the world to close more deals and make more sales. So that's been kind of a short mini bio. If you want to actually know more about myself and actually hear about my entrepreneurial depression as well as happiness, just go to YouTube, type in Steli Afti and then TEDx, and you'll find a talk where I shared some of the very highs, but also the lowest lows that I've experienced as an entrepreneur. All right, let's move on to the second question. What's the biggest problem you see as a sales guy with marketers in startups and tech? So it's not just an issue I see with marketers, but it's actually just a general issue that I see with a lot of people that are not as results driven, is confusing activity with productivity. And especially in marketing, I think a lot of times we tend to look at vanity metrics and just be happy with ourselves and pat ourselves on the back and see, wow, we had 100 shares on Facebook with this blog post, or wow, we had this amount of views or traffic, or whatever else metric, whatever else the top of the funnel is, which is usually the biggest number that we could track and report on. When I see marketers that I find to be ineffective for a startup environment, it's usually because they're super focused on things that are intangible and vanity metrics versus really caring deeply about results, real results. A share is not necessarily a result if you don't know that that share will definitely, that 10 shares will lead to 1 sign up, will lead to whatever amount of revenue for you down the line, maybe $5 in revenue, $2 in revenue. If you don't know what the real result is that your activity and the early top of the funnel results are that you're driving, you're just producing a lot of activity, a lot of heat, but very little actual result. It's like all energy, all like brute force, but no elegance, nothing real tangible that really moves the business forward, and that's super crucial for a startup. Next question, question number 3. If you were to teach a marketer sales, what are the top 2 things that you would actually teach? That's an awesome question. I think anybody, the first 2 things, and the 2 things that I would teach somebody is, first of all, reframing in your mind what sales is really about. Most people, including a lot of marketers I know, think sales is all about talking. Sales is all about selling, talking, communicating, shaking somebody until they buy what you want to sell them and they buy into your value proposition. Nothing could be further from the truth. Sales is all about asking questions. Sales is all about listening, active, proactive listening, asking the right questions to really not just stay on a surface level of understanding your prospect or potential customer, but really go deep and arrive at a point where you're so empathetic to the situation, have such understanding of their situation, their challenges, the things they try to accomplish, that you don't have to do a lot of talking. At the end of the conversation, your understanding is so deep, so intimate, that you can throw what I call one dart, one value proposition, one sentence, two-sentence pitch, and hit the target and sell them and convince them. The only way to do that and be so effective and elegant in the way you do sales is to actually really practice the art of asking questions, the art of really listening and truly getting and gaining understanding. And he who asks or she who asks the most questions in the conversation is the person that leads the conversation, leads the direction, the focus of the conversation. So asking questions is really powerful, is what sales is all about. And the second thing that I would focus on teaching a marketer when it comes to sales is really asking the most crucial question, which is the question for the close. Hey, do you want to buy our product? Hey, do you want to become a customer? Hey, what would it take for you to actually become a customer of our product? Asking that question is so scary because in most cases, it will actually elicit a rejection. It will elicit the other party to say, no, I'm not ready yet. No, I don't like what you have now. No, we're not sure if that's for us. Well, we think this is too expensive. And most people design their lives around rejection. They design a life that will create as little rejection as possible. In sales, there's no hiding from rejection. In sales, you need to embrace rejection. In sales, that's the reason of existence for most salespeople is to actually elicit rejection and then manage it and then overcome it and actually turn people that should be customers of your product or service or business into customers, help them get there, even if they think somewhere in the journey that they shouldn't do it. Only obviously, and that's why you have to ask all the questions, if they really qualify and they really would benefit from being customers. But dealing with rejection, elicit rejection, and manage emotionally to deal with people telling you, no, you suck, your product sucks, I don't want to buy it. That's kind of one of the things that makes sales so challenging and something that a lot of times people that haven't done that job are underappreciating. So I would definitely focus on these two things. Next question. How can marketers work more efficiently with sales teams? That's a beautiful question. Here's what I would do and what I would share with any kind of marketing and sales team that have to work a lot with each other. Sales and marketing is actually, those two teams are not as different from each other than, let's say, sales and engineering, but still, both teams speak very different languages, and sometimes a lot of things can go lost in translations when these two teams try to interact with each other. Here's what I would advise you to do. Actually have marketers do sales. Have them actually do sales for a day. Sit there and do sales calls, prospect, qualify new leads that are coming in. Actually have these conversations, actually get rejected, actually have to feel the pain and the challenges and really get an inside view of what it means to be a salesperson. And vice versa, actually make salespeople do marketing for a day. Actually have them write a blog post or do some tweets or actually think about optimizing an advertising campaign and show them some ad creatives and tell them what would you change, how would you make this better, and make them understand how hard it is to be a marketer and what the challenges are and what the thought process is, so that both sides are not just constantly bitching about each other and salespeople are constantly saying, well, these marketers are sending us shitty leads, and the marketing people are like, well, these salespeople just suck and they don't know how to appreciate the amazing leads we send them, right? Have those two teams actually do each other's jobs so that they can build up empathy. And they don't just have the content of like what is each side saying, but they have the context. And they really, again, coming back to asking questions, getting to real understanding, they don't just stay on the surface level understanding, they really get deep and understand the other party so that they can service and work with each other a lot better, right? So that's what I would do, actually have those two teams reverse, have these teams constantly train each other in the art of the other person's job, and have salespeople be better marketers and marketers be better salespeople. I think that's going to benefit not just the collaboration between the two teams, but overall the company and every individual in itself. Next question. You always answer, Stella, means me, you're always answering questions on Quora. Any learnings takeaway on its effectiveness? That's a great question. So yeah, I am active on Quora. I want to be even more active than I am. And actually, to be honest, I can't take any credit for it because when we first started being active on Quora, I thought it would be a waste of time. It was actually a person on our team that started answering questions on Quora that were sales related. And we saw all of a sudden, we saw kind of a huge bump in traffic. We looked at the sources, and one of the top sources was Quora. And we're like, holy fuck, why are we getting all this traffic from Quora? And eventually, a team member raises their hand and she's like, well, I've been answering questions on Quora. It seems like it's working. And we analyzed the traffic a little further and we saw that it converted at crazy amounts. So we started believing in the power of Quora and the power of going where people already are dying to know the answer to a specific question. And when we have the answer, answering it and sharing with the community and teaching people is a pretty powerful way. We see not just traffic, but we see really high quality traffic, high quality signups coming from Quora. And a lot of times when we call new signups and we ask them, how did you hear about us? They say, I read about you guys on Quora, or I read an answer from one of you guys on Quora. So it's been pretty effective for us, a pretty powerful tool. The other thing that I want to share with marketers is Quora gives us an amazing amount of ideas for new content. So when somebody asks a question on Quora and lots of people are voting that question up, or lots and lots of people are viewing and following that question, that tells us people want to know. And we basically, a lot of times when we answer that question on Quora, we take that and we actually take a lot of time to really answer in depth and detail, and we turn it into a blog post, or we turn it to a few slides in our next webinar, and we really use it as a content generating engine for us that provides us with ideas of what people really want to know about. Next question. It looks like you're getting into adding a lot of YouTube videos to your blog posts. What's that all about? And why did I create this video instead of just answering the questions in email? Well, there's a couple of things about this. One is obviously I enjoy video a lot more than I enjoy writing usually. So it's much easier for me to use the ideas that I have and create a little video and then take that video and turn it into content that's written. So that's kind of our new content engine. Every blog post you see on the Close.io blog, if you go to blog.close.io, every blog post you see right now first was an idea that turned into a video, and then we turned the video into actually the blog post. So this is a new way that we create content. We're able to churn out a lot more content that way. And we have big plans with our YouTube channel that I'm not going to reveal right now, but it's very much in its infancy, and I'm really excited about it. Next question. You recently published a book on startup sales. How was the launch? It seems like a great lead generation for Close.io. That's true. The book is called The Ultimate Startup Guide to Outbound Sales. Launch code for you guys, 50% off if you type in awesome sauce. You can find it on startupsalesguide.com. We'll share the link here. But the question is, how did the launch go? A lot better than expected. Not that we had any crazy expectations. We really didn't want to market this book too crazily because it was a first dry run for us. We have a lot of big ideas on what we want to do in terms of writing books and using some of our amazing content to remix that and turn it into books. So this was more of a learning process. We knew that we would suck, and we took the philosophy of done is better than perfect, and we put something together we thought was really valuable, but not quite as perfect as we'd like it to be, and we put it out there, and we sold thousands of it, thousands of dollars, not copies, and it continues to sell, which is amazing. We're not promoting it at all, and every day we're selling more and more books. And it's turning into a really nice little revenue source. The reason why we did that is, yes, number one, it is a lead generation format. It's kind of a new content format for us and for audiences to discover us, or for our core audience to actually consume our content in a different way. But we also truly believe in the philosophy of charging. Provide value and then charge. This is a real business. We're here to make money and not just create goodwill. And we're probably one of the few, if not the only SaaS business out there, one of the few SaaS businesses, not the only one, but one of the very few ones that actually creates an ebook and actually charges for it versus just giving it away for free to generate lots and lots of leads. And we believe that because we're charging, the perceived value is a lot higher. The amount of people actually consuming the book, reading it, and then putting it into practice is a lot higher, so we generate a lot more success and value in the world, and that's what we're really all about. Not about vanity metrics and downloads, but about actual results out there. All right, so last question, or second to last question. On the Close.io blog, you recently had a post on how to streamline letters of intent and basically contracts when you work with larger enterprise clients. Do you mind breaking down what steps took you to testing, figuring this hack out? So this is a quick hack where you actually ask the other side, instead of you creating a letter of intent, sending it to them sending it to the legal department destroying it, taking it apart, and you having to go back and forth between all departments forever. What you do is you actually ask them, hey, have you done a deal like this, a similar deal before in the last 6 to 12 months? that had a letter of intent that got approved on your legal side? And if yes, can you send me that letter of intent so we can use it as a template and just edit it for our specific use case to make sure we speed up the process? So how did we get that? Real life experience. I was actually doing sales for my first US-based and Silicon Valley-based startup, and was doing sales there for the very first time, doing enterprise sales, trying to closing companies like Google and Intuit and really large organizations like Oracle. And one of our investors was a veteran in enterprise sales. And, we had this like back and forth with their department around a letter of intent. And he stepped in and said, you know what, Stelly, this is a huge waste of time. Send them an email right now asking them, have they done a deal like this in the last 12 months? And if so, can they provide you with the contract that got approved through legal back then? And that was when my mind was blown. I was like, wow, this is so elegant. This is so beautiful. And we did that, and we were able to close the deal within 2 weeks, saving ourselves tons of time and money going back and forth between both legal departments. And I took that learning and shared it multiple times in person and got a lot of feedback that it really worked for lots and lots of other people. And then eventually, when I shared it with somebody, it prompted me to actually create a video that turned into a blog post that we shared so more people could actually take advantage of this little hack. Last question on this. Who's the smartest marketer you know and why? This is a great question. So first I was like, wow, this is one of those questions that's impossible to answer because the answer is constantly changing. I'm constantly inspired and motivated by different marketers. So you ask me today, it's a different answer than 6 months ago, 12 months ago. There's not a single person that I've like, this is my marketing god and I think they're the best in the world. I don't believe in that. But right now, if you ask me, what kind of marketers am I most inspired about? It probably has to be the guys from Buffer. So if you check out Buffer, if you're in marketing, you know Buffer probably. Those guys are just content creation gods right now in my mind. And what blows my mind is the amount of transparency they use to actually really propel their marketing to the next level. Those guys share everything about the company. They really practice radical transparency on a corporate level, sharing their revenue numbers, having like their revenue dashboard online for everybody around the world to see at all times. The revenue numbers day by day, month by month, sharing their salaries, sharing everything about the company, which makes for really compelling content, which also makes for really compelling branding because people really get intimately familiar with that company. They start caring. I care about these guys. I root for their success. They're taking me on their journey and just creates a completely different brand, and it blows my mind. And I'm scared shitless considering opening up a lot more or potentially at some point being as radical transparent as they are with our content marketing and our marketing in general. So those guys are super inspiring. I think they're doing really awesome shit with it and really push the world forward with their content marketing. That's really it. I hope this was useful. If you ever want to get in touch with me and actually learn more about sales from a marketing perspective, just send me an email, Stelly, S-T-E-L-I, @close.io. Let's chat marketing, let's chat sales. I hope this was valuable. Thanks so much for asking the questions.